All right, well, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the second of the Soul Series webinars that I'll be hosting. This is Nate Gustafson. I am so thankful to be here with everyone and have this opportunity to share some insights and encouragement for your heart and soul as you're out there being that agent of hope in this trying and difficult time. This is a presentation geared for all agents of hope, whether you're slaving away in the nursing home or healthcare field, or you're in the trenches of the education, raising up the next generation of leaders in this world, whether you're a kind-hearted, loving neighbor in your community who reaches out to the lost and lonely, or local minister, pastor, priest, rabbi, wherever you find yourselves today. If you're out there spreading love and joy and hope to this world, you are an agent of hope. And I hope that this time together today, focusing on soul keeping, whole person self-care, will encourage you, give you something to boost your spirits today, refresh you as we take a little lunch break for the soul. So if you have a sandwich or bag of chips or a hot dog or something that you're chowing away on, enjoy. I promise I won't be doing that while I try to speak this afternoon. We're recording our presentation because I know there's a lot of folks out there that would benefit from this, and we'll be sending that out as we go along. So I'm going to put it back onto screen sharing, pull up our slides for this afternoon's presentation. And again, thank you so much for joining us for Soul Keeping, and I welcome your comments and feedbacks at the end of our time together. All right, soul keeping, whole person self-care. I'd like to begin by sharing a video, and this is based upon the book entitled Soul Keeping, written by John Ortberg, and he tells the story that I've entitled The Stream, and there's a video about it that I'd like to share with you all. So we'll get that pulled up, called Keeper of the Stream.
There once was a town high in the mountains that straddled the banks of a beautiful stream. The stream was fed by springs that were old as the earth and deep as the sea. The water was clear like crystal. Children laughed and played beside it. Swans and ducks swam on it. You could see the rocks and the sand because the water was so fresh. High in the hills, far beyond anyone's sight, lived a man who served as the keeper of the springs. He had been hired a long time ago, and no one could remember a time when he wasn't there. He would travel from one spring to another in the hills, removing branches or fallen leaves or debris that might pollute the water, but his work was unseen. One year, the town council decided they had better things to do with their money. No one supervised the man anyway. They had roads to repair and taxes to collect and services to offer, and giving money to an unseen stream cleaner had become a luxury they could no longer afford. So the old man left his post. High in the mountains, the springs went untended. Twigs and branches and worse muddied the liquid flow. Mud and silt compacted the creek bed. Farm wastes turned parts of the stream into stagnant bogs. For a time, no one in the village noticed, but after a while, the water was not the same. It began to look brackish. The swans flew away to live elsewhere. The water no longer had a crisp scent that drew children to play by it. Some people in the town began to grow ill. All noticed the loss of sparkling beauty that used to flow between the banks of the streams that fed the town. The life of the village depended on the stream, and the life of the stream depended on the keeper. The city council reconvened, the money was found, the man was rehired. After yet another time, the springs were clean, the stream was pure, children played again on its banks, illness was replaced by health, the swans came home, and the village came back to life. The life of a village depended on the health of the stream. The stream is the soul, and you are the keeper.
So that is the stream. The stream is the soul, and you are the keeper, according to John Ortberg in the opening lines of Soul Keeping. And hold on for a second here.
Suppose you wanted to change the world so much.
There was John. He just continued to talk after I tried to go on. So why soul keeping? Well, we're here because of our villages. So who is your village? Your village is all the people that you care about so deeply. For many of you as agents of hope out there, again, teachers, janitors, CNAs, nurses, doctors, lawyers, business owners, pastors, preachers, ministers, lay counselors, you name it. Whatever your role and your lot in life, you are spreading hope. You are spreading care. You are spreading joy into some pretty difficult places because of your village, because of the people you care about so deeply. It's more than just a job. It's a life calling. It's a deep personal adventure that you find yourself on. So we're here for soul keeping because of our village. We're also here because of the stream. As the video so eloquently put, the stream is your soul. And you are the only person who can truly be responsible for that stream within you. So if the stream equals our soul, and the soul is truly the whole person, mind, body, and spirit, then this equation in math would be that the stream equals the whole person. Now, if you're not a math person, and I a long time ago was a math person, but I've since renounced and given up math for Lent year after year, so I don't have to think about it. We're equating the stream, we're equating your whole person as that vital, life-giving energy that flows out of you into the lives of your village, into the lives of those people that you care about so deeply. And then we're also here for soul keeping because you want to make an influence. You want to make a difference in this world. I'd encourage you in the chat box, just type in or think about what's one word that you would use to describe for your life these days. What's one word you would use to feel about your life these days? I'm going to put in a word here that I hear all too often myself saying and other people saying. I hear so many people saying that they're busy, that they're tired, that they're worn down, that there's just too much to do and not enough time. Thank you, when you would say blessed, and I agree. Just to be able to get up in the morning and see the Rocky Mountains, to breathe the crystal beautiful blue air that surrounds us, I agree. It's also a blessed life. I say sometimes I hear myself saying, hurry up, got to get to the next thing, got to get to the next thing. So whatever word you would use to describe your life, we're going to talk about the soul. And we're going to do a little Soul Anatomy 101. What is a soul? In ancient times, the Egyptians, I believe, used the word ka. In the Hebrew times, they used the word nephesh. In the Greek times, they used the word psyche. You might hear people talk of today of their energy or their life source. But I love this example from the book Soul Physicians by Dr. Robert Kellerman. He says our Soul 101 is made up of 5 different pieces of our inner stream. And I guess if water is made up of 2 molecules of hydrogen and 1 of oxygen, This could be H5O maybe, or I don't know, I don't do science either, but soul anatomy. He says that we are all created, all designed to be relational romancers. We're created with longings deep within us, spiritual longings, social longings, longings for self-awareness, longings to kind of understand who we are, where we are, what on earth are we here for. He also points out that we're rational dreamers. That's our thinking side. We are created and given this opportunity where we've evolved to the point where we think in images, we think of categories, we have beliefs. Those of us that had to slug our way through seminary training oftentimes had to take a whole course on, or more courses on beliefs, and systematize and itemize and categorize and ins and outs of every little finer point and detail. We're also volitional. We're also creators. Think about every little girl who creates an imaginary world where tea parties and princesses and knights in shining armor come to slay the dragons. And think of every creative little boy who has goals and actions and dreams, and they just create their own Wild West world. I had friends who weren't allowed to play with toy guns and weren't allowed to play cowboys and Indians, and instead of given their opportunity to go wild and free without a toy gun in their hands, a rock or a stick became their way of expressing their creative dreams and action of whatever role that they're playing out. We're also created as emotional singers. Now, you may not be able to carry a note in a bucket, or you may be able to hit the high C with the best of them, but the singer within each of us has that feeling in our mood that gets expressed from the inside out. We're able to catch wind of a tune. We're able to catch wind of a beautiful masterpiece. We're able to have our hearts stirred by something of beauty. It could be something of writing. It could be something of speech. It could be something painted. It could be this beautiful image of the screen that you see on your screen of the stream with the fall colors aligning the banks and the beautiful granite. Last but not least, we're also physical beings. We're also actors living out our habits. I have a habit of liking to check out the donut aisle to go with my coffee. I have a habit of preferring not to eat my vegetables. That has been a lifelong habit. I exercise domain in my world. I live a habit of how I drive, how I put on my clothes in the morning, how I brush my teeth, how I interact with this world. I had a certain routine of how I like to prepare to throw a football or shoot a free throw in basketball. A good friend of mine who took sociology as a major in college, he talked about how in sociology terms, we're all actors in a play. We're all living out this drama, and he called it dramaturgy. And that's an interesting subject that we can look at maybe another time. But Soul Anatomy 101 is the 5 pieces of our inner life. And so we also want to consider the condition of our stream. So we also have a soul stream. And our soul stream might be flowing, or it might be stagnant. It might be crystal clear. It might be filled with muddy waters. We saw the image of the keeper of the stream digging out the junk and the fallen branches and debris that were muddying up the stream. And we also have to consider the results of the stream. Is our stream life-giving or life-draining? And is our stream bringing health to the village around us? Those are questions only you and I can answer for ourselves. We have to look deeply within ourselves and evaluate ourselves and say, what is the condition of our stream and what is the result of the stream? And this is by asking again, what do I want for my stream? Hopefully you would answer that question in the affirmative. I want my stream to bless other people. I want my stream to bring life to other people. I want my stream to be flowing with crystal clear, pure refreshment so that the lost and lonely and weary and broken-hearted people of this world, when they come encounter with my stream, that they leave encouraged and not discouraged, that they feel like they've been built up and not torn down. But oftentimes it's true, especially of those who give and give and give and give and care and care and care and care. Oftentimes we are all in a state of sinkhole soul syndrome. Now, I don't know if any physician could diagnose this, or if the mental health profession would put this in their next DSM, but I found in Ortberg's book, Soul Keeping, he talks about what is the condition of the soul without a center. He called that a sinkhole soul. A soul without a center has 5 characteristics to it. Number 1, it has difficulty making decisions. Number 2, it feels constantly vulnerable, constantly feeling like we could just crumble at any moment if the wind blew just 1 mile an hour stronger. The sinkhole soul lacks patience. It's easily thrown off track. And we find our identity oftentimes in externals, find our identity in others, find our identity in accomplishments, find our identity, our purpose, our worth in this world by how much is in our paycheck, our 401k account, whether the stock market's going up or down, whether our political candidate's in office, or a variety of other things. So a sinkhole soul is truly a soul without a center, and that the stream then you could say is quite muddy, or the stream is down to such a tiny little trickle that there's no nourishment that comes from the sinkhole soul. Here's a quote from Soul Keeping. Your soul is what integrates, what connects, what binds together your will, then your mind, and then your body. If you could imagine a bullseye, a target that you would shoot a bow and arrow at, or take target practice at for the Olympics when they have their shooting competitions, the outer concentric circle would be your physical world, your body. That's what we all physically see. We see whether the starting quarterback for the Broncos is 6'7" or 5'10". Then we see the mind, we see the thoughts, the emotions, the attitudes, the processor. And the mind is oftentimes what we see once you kind of get below the surface just one step. And we see the mind through the body. We see the mind through the actions of a person. And then we get to the will. I can physically do 100 push-ups and 100 sit-ups every day because I know in my mind that that's a really good thing for me to do. But my will is bent on a custard-filled donut. And if I let my will live by the custard-filled donut, and I'm not picky, it could be Krispy Kreme, it could be Safeway, it could be King Soopers, it could be Yummy's Donuts in Lakewood where I stop off with my daughter before school. It doesn't matter. You just give me a custard-filled donut because my will overrides my mind and my body. And if your will overrides your mind and your body, then you're not fully integrating. Your soul is not fully integrated. So a fully integrated soul is will, mind, and body working in synchronicity, working together in harmony. 3-part harmony, you could say. So we looked at soul anatomy. Now we're going to look at soul care. Why do we need soul care? Well, we need to care for all of you so you can care with all of you. Now let's break that down. So if the stream is your soul, and if your soul is the whole person, your mind, body, spirit, your will, your thoughts, your emotions, your actions, your habits, then we definitely need to care for all of that. We can't just take a mental break and only tackle our thinking. We can't just take physical care of ourselves and expect our emotions to fall into order, although they oftentimes benefit and oftentimes one benefits the other. But we need to focus on caring for all of us. So much time I've heard a zillion talks on self-care, self-care, self-care. Take a rest, keep your boundaries, exercise, get 8 hours of sleep, drink plenty of water, blah, 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 blah. I've heard all that, but very few times will we talk about the whole picture. So I want to focus on the whole picture, the whole person, caring for all of you so that you can care with all of you. You can bring the best of you to the people that you care for. John Ortberg quotes a lot from his mentor, Dallas Willard, who was unfortunately, he's now deceased, but he was a PhD philosopher based out of the University of Southern California, wrote a lot in the realms of philosophy as well as spirituality. And he said, you are not just a self, you are a soul. So we're going to look at whole person care, or what I'd like to refer to as soul care. So caring for you begins by clearing your stream. Again, your heart, mind, your strength. We've got to clear out the debris that's clouding, cluttering, causing your will, your choices, your volition to get out of whack. We have to identify it, and then we got to get out a big filter, or a big stick, or a big something, a big shovel to start scooping out the debris that's affecting your heart. In a sense, it's doing open heart surgery on our own will. Identifying, why do I make these choices? Why do I continue to be drawn for the custard-filled donut or 2 or 3 custard-filled donuts in a stressful time? Why is it that Dairy Queen sundae always calls my name, and I keep making the choice and the pursuit of that Dairy Queen sundae when I'm feeling a little taxed at work? And we need to clear our mind, not just completely empty ourselves of all thoughts and all desires, but we have to take out the bad and put in the good. The old phrase, GIGO, garbage in, garbage out. If you're putting a bunch of garbage in your mind, in your thoughts, a bunch of negativity, no wonder your stream is filled with a bunch of negative thoughts, negative stream of consciousness, so to speak. And then we also need to clear our stream with strength. It is wise to get good sleep. It is wise to stop working after 8 hours. It is wise to take a nice long walk with a loved one to reduce the stress and the strain upon your life. Those are all wonderful choices to make. But oftentimes we're going to struggle to make those choices if we haven't tackled our heart and our mind. So not only do we clear the garbage that we've been putting into our soul, we have to put in, or we need to purify our soul. We need to purify the stream. Ortberg points out that even if you're really disciplined about having maybe 30 or 45 minutes in your day where you're meditating, you're praying, you're putting in positive thoughts through something you're reading. Maybe you focus on scripture or some sort of religious material. Maybe you love poetry and you just rack your life with just books after books after books, or on your shelf of beautiful images, and you purify yourself that way. If you do that 30 minutes in the morning and 30 minutes in the evening, you still have 23 hours of your day where you could be allowing a lot of garbage into your stream, where your stream could still be pretty polluted and need tending to. So instead of just maybe in the morning or just in the evening focusing on purifying your stream, what if we purified our stream through a constant rhythm of purification? And when John Ortberg went to his mentor, Dallas Willard, and said, Dallas, I've been promoted, I've gotten this job to care for a congregation of thousands upon thousands, I'm getting invited to speak across the country. Not only did Ortberg pastor in some large church contexts, he's also a PhD psychologist. So he was being invited into some pretty significant conversations about the role of spirituality and psychology and doing a lot of one-on-one counseling work. And he said he'd never been busier, never been so called upon to share his expertise. And yet he wondered aloud to Dallas Willard, why do I feel so empty? And maybe you've been there. Maybe you've given and given and given until you just don't have another ounce to give. Maybe it was just for a season. Maybe it's been for years. Maybe it's right now. Dallas Willard stepped back, looked at his young mentee, Mr. Ortberg, and said, well, John, the very first thing you need to do is ruthlessly eliminate hurry from your life. Ruthlessly eliminate hurry from your life. And John wrote that down quickly in a hurry and then went to Dallas and said, okay, I got it. What next? So Dallas paused and slowly and deliberately said, you must ruthlessly eliminate hurry from your life. Find your identity beyond your performance. And it was very interesting that Ortberg very quickly realized that, oh, nothing Dallas ever did was in a hurry. Nothing Dallas ever did. He didn't walk in a hurry. He didn't drive in a hurry. He didn't talk with his wife in a hurry. He didn't interrupt a conversation to answer his phone. He didn't even own an answering machine. Nothing in his life was hurried, and yet this was a man who Ortberg looked to as a mentor, someone who really understood that inner stream and had it all in integrated order. So there were some practical things that Dallas Willard and John Ortberg looked at in terms of caring for all of one's soul, all of one's stream. They said, take notice of the loving actions that you do for you. Take note of also the loving actions that you do for others. And just keep an awareness of that. Take a look at what those actions are and note your choices. That gets back to your will. That gets back to that inner part of the three-ring circle, the concentric circle, the bullseye, is looking at your will. And if you notice that your soul, your heart, your spirit, whatever you want to call it, is sad, lonely, longing, mad, angry, ticked off at the world, they encouraged us to talk to your soul. Say, soul, why are you so angry today? Soul, why are you in such a hurry today? Soul, why are you so ticked off at that guy in traffic? Speeding by him isn't going to get you to your appointment. You should have chosen not to go get that donut 10 minutes ago, and you would have made your appointment on time. Maybe that's what I need to talk to my soul about next time I'm late to an appointment. Then we also need to listen to our soul. We need to listen and say, okay, soul, what's your answer to this question? Why are you so downcast? Why are you so upset? Why are you in such a hurry? And then just pause. Be silent. Listen to your heart. Not in the bad 80s lyrics, listen to your heart song, but what's going on in your stream? What's going on in your desires and your choices and your will and your mind and your emotions? Ortberg talked about getting in the rhythm of a cycle of grace, not achievement. That will do wonders for all of our souls. To realize that we need to live as accepted human beings. Find our acceptance in something greater than ourselves, not in our achievement. We don't need to try to impress, but we don't need to try to jockey for position. Ortberg in his travels would talk about how he became aware of a little inner circle of business travelers that he could spot from a mile away as they were speeding down the concourse with their rolling carry-on bags so that they wouldn't have to be burdened by checking in their materials, also with their laptop bags slung around their shoulders. He said you would see these people weave and dodge, kind of reminding him of the old O.J. Simpson commercial back in the 80s, early 90s, before his other infamous pursuits got him in trouble. He was known for leaping over luggage and dodging and weaving and putting his swift moves on display in the airport so he could get to his gate on time, and just his proficiency at hurrying and rushing were on display. And yet Ortberg realized that he would try to dodge and weave and be proficient in his hurry. And he said it was all about impressing for success. He wanted people to look at him as if he was some Mr. Big Shot because he was dodging and weaving, looking so important that he just had to rush to his gate with a minute to spare. Instead of that cycle of achievement, the cycle of grace is what they talked about, beginning with acceptance instead of beginning with achievement. And also getting in line with the unforced rhythms of grace. You sustain your soul by tapping into the grace givers in your life. Who are the people who are non-judgmental, non-hurried, non-anxious, and then allowing other people just to pass you by? Let someone else get in line at the grocery store in front of you with 100 items when you only have 15. Let someone pass you on the freeway. Let someone take the prime fruit out of the produce aisle next time that you're going for some apples and bananas. Just learning to live by unforced rhythms of grace does wonders for our soul. Again, our soul is like an inner stream of water that gives strength, direction, and harmony to every area of our life. It's from Soul Keeping. So I'd love to see this army of hope. I'm on a mission, you all. I know that I have been blessed and so fortunate and favored to work with, alongside, have volunteers on my hospice team, have chaplains that I've served alongside, known pastors and ministers, known Boy Scout troop leaders and Girl Scout troop leaders, and kind neighbors that care so deeply. And everyone who cares with just an ounce of faith, hope, and love is this agent of hope in this world that is so desperate for hope. And I'm on a mission, you all. I want to see all of these kind-hearted souls. I want to see all of these streams connected as one great big stream, as one great big army of hope that gets to go out and care with a soul full of gratitude, a soul who lives with freedom, a soul who gives blessing, who gives favor to the other person instead of tearing a piece of flesh out of that person with our terrible words and our pity party attitude, that we would give blessing, that we would give honor to these other people. That's what I want to see. And I believe that it begins when we care with gratitude, that we care by recognizing the good, beautiful, lovely, and pure in this world. Instead of focusing on the negative, the self-gratifying, the ugly pieces of society today that's on the evening news and the 24/7 news cycle, if we could just recognize the good, it would be so uplifting. And also to encourage freedom. Freedom from restraints to achieve. Freedom from unfair expectations upon us that just damage our soul. Just to be free from that. Just to say, I'm not going to live for that. I'm not going to live in fear. I'm not going to live in bondage to those external constraints. I'm going to live for how I was destined to be. I want to live with a stream that's clear and pure and beautiful and whole, and I want to have a rightly ordered and connected life. That's what I want to be free for. I want to be free for a connection. If I'm free from constraint, then I can be free for connection. Let me try to say that again. I want to be free from constraint so that I can be free for connection. And that leads into this third caring with category, to bless. Basically, it's simple. Anytime you can project good, anytime you can share words of life, words of hope, words of encouragement, see and share the good, that is projecting that blessing into this world. Words of death, they kill souls. I've been reading through Proverbs a lot lately, just in my own soul-keeping rhythm of grace to try to keep refreshed and renewed. And it's so many Proverbs over and over and over that just talk about the words, wise words, words of life versus words of death, words of uplifting instead of words of bringing people down. I learned on the playground and on the bus ride home from school quite a few words that when I shared my new vocabulary with my parents at home, gave me a new appreciation for the taste of whatever brand of soap we happened to have at the kitchen counter that day. I didn't quite realize that those words I was bringing home and I would try out on my parents for size weren't appreciated so much. And it wasn't just because of the literal word that was just a string of letters and consonants and vowels that make a sound. It was the meaning of that string of consonants and vowels and sounds that were coming out of my mouth. They were words of death. They had no uplifting, no value at all to share for anybody, and they wanted to get that point across. So whether it was Ivy soap or Dove soap or generic brand soap that was in the soap dispenser at the kitchen counter, that was my reminder that my words had the option of life or death, and I better choose some words of life in a hurry, or else I'd be gurgling bubbles for quite a while. So caring with. So we start with caring for your stream. Live in the unforced rhythms of grace. Ruthlessly eliminate hurry. Let the other person go first. Take some time to fill your heart, purify your stream with whatever is good and pure and lovely and life-giving. Breathe in. Go for long walks. So care for your soul so you can care with a stream that is life-giving, that will bring healing and hope and encouragement to your village. Because ultimately that's why we're here. Remember, we're here because we care about the people that we're called to serve, the people that we love so dearly, whether it's our spouse, our children, our grandchildren, our next door neighbor, our best friend, the lady in the ICU unit who's hooked up to a ventilator and central line and, is just on the edge of life and death. And we have that opportunity to care in those moments and bring our stream to their stream and influence them in countless ways. So care with all of you so that you can slow down and ask the question, why am I in such a hurry? And I can care with a stream that is so pure because I've silenced the noise. I've asked myself the question, why so much noise? Why do I have to always have so much noise going on? I can care with a pure heart, a pure soul, a pure stream if I focus on some solitude. Solitude is always calling us. That's why I chose this picture on this slide of just this appears to be a young woman just on a journey of solitude. Why are we so afraid to be alone, though? Why are so many of us just can't handle 20 minutes of being alone? I just spent 5 days with my wife and my daughter out of town, and I thought I was going to lose my mind a couple evenings at home. I couldn't handle that it was so quiet. I was all alone. I couldn't understand, why is that bothering me so much? So I know my soul's a little out of alignment at this point. My stream's got some purification that needs to be tended to. So I'm not saying I've got all this figured out by any stretch of the imagination, but I know that when I can't be alone and can't be at ease with myself and my own world, that's a sign that I need to tend to my stream, tend to that soul and see what I need to do to concentrate on it. And finally, in order to care with a soul that is filled and overflowing with a stream of life-giving, hope and faith and love and joy and patience and kindness and goodness and energy, I have to ask myself the question, why am I so distracted? Why do I keep wasting time? I don't know about you all, but I find myself just so easily distracted some days. It's that squirrel chasing within each of us. As soon as I get focused in on what I'm going to be doing for my day, it's like, oh, there's a squirrel on that racing to my left. Oh, there's another squirrel racing to my right. Oh, I need to clean my desk. I need to arrange my bookshelf. I need to wash my car. I need to answer that email. I need to apply for that $1 million bonus offer that came from my friend whose email doesn't appear to really be their email, but I'm going to respond to it after all because I might win $1 million. Oh, we are so distracted. We are so easily knocked off course. Recently for me, I've been knocked off course by a silly game that my daughter has been playing on her Kindle for months, and she just loves building this town, and she raises crops, and she makes things in her town, and she somehow connects with these other people who have towns, and they help each other out. And I thought, oh, this would be something that as a dad I could share with my daughter, and we could be on the same page. And oh, I find myself so distracted and get myself caught up in having to concentrate on that when really I could just take some time for my soul. I could just be silent. I could be quiet. I could be filling my world with something more beautiful, something more uplifting and encouraging. So in order to care with a stream that is life-giving and not life-defeating, so many times we have to ask the question, why are we so distracted? And how can I stop wasting time? John Ortberg writes in Soul Keeping, more gratitude will not come from acquiring more things or experiences, but from more of an awareness of God's presence and His goodness. It's a way of looking at life, always perceiving the good. So here's your challenge, everybody. Here's your homework. Sorry I didn't put this at the beginning that there was going to be homework, but at least there isn't a test. So your homework, your mission impossible, should you accept this mission, the first challenge is step 1, evaluation. Evaluate the state of your stream. What's one word that would describe the health of your stream? And then also evaluate the health of your village. How is your stream impacting the health of your village? And then last, maybe another metaphor, if you're not jiving with the stream metaphor and you're more musical in nature, think about how beautiful and how rich a 3-part harmony is. Ask yourself, what is the harmony of my soul? How is the harmony of my soul? Am I hitting those notes right, or am I hitting a note that's out of place and creating some dissonance, creating that nails on a chalkboard feeling when you just slam your fist on the keyboard of the piano and all those notes clash together? Challenge 2, create an action plan. I would encourage you, journal, write, talk to your best friend, talk to your dog, talk to your cat, talk to your iguana, whoever you need to talk to your pet rock or your tree next door. Do whatever you need to do to develop an action plan. And first I would track those loving sacrificial choices. Focus on the positive. When you respond in sacrificial love, or when you respond with hope or encouragement, make note of that. And note when the times are when you respond that way. Also track the points when you respond out of maybe a rush or a lack of hope or a lack of love or a lack of joy, and see where the balance is. Are you coming out more on the positive side of that balance or more on the negative side of that balance? And when you do catch yourself in awareness of when your soul's a bit misaligned, or when the stream seems to have some extra branches and debris in it, talk to your soul. Soul, why are you so out of whack today? Why am I so tired today? Why am I feeling so impatient. Oh, every time I see that coworker cross my path, I just want to say something to them, but it's not going to be life-giving, not going to be life-supporting. So I best bite my tongue at this point. Talk to your soul. Soul, why are you acting in this way? And if people around you think you're crazy for it, so what? Blame it on me. I'll take the blame for you. I was raised by a mother who talked to her soul very naturally, and she talks to herself constantly. And she even answers her own questions when she asks herself a question. So I don't know if that's all right or not, but it's worked for her for a lot of years. Eliminate hurry. This is going to be the hardest one for many of us. Ruthlessly, and I mean ruthlessly, eliminate hurry. Force yourself to talk slower, walk slower, respond when asked a question more deliberately. And I just added a couple extra pauses there. If any of you have seen the movie Zootopia, it's a kid's movie, and they're in a world of various different animals who are in various different jobs. And I love that they selected the sloth to work behind the Department of Motor Vehicles counter. So it was the sloth that was responsible for the longest line of customer service. And it's just hysterical. If you haven't seen the movie, you've got to check that one out and look up the sloth on Zootopia. But the sloth wasn't in a hurry by any means. And then finally, dance with rhythms of grace. Even if you've got 2 left feet and couldn't do a jitterbug if your life depended on it, you can still dance with grace. You can still get in a rhythm of your waking moments dedicated to keeping your stream clean. Your going to work moments of what are the habits, what are the rituals that you can create, what are the rhythms of grace in your commute to work that can encourage your soul. In the first 3 or 4 hours of your day, break up your work day into like 2 chunks or 3 chunks, morning, noon, and evening, series of events, and just check in with your soul. Soul, how are we doing? We've just about accomplished all that we were going to accomplish in the first quarter of our day. How are we doing today, soul? And look for grace givers throughout your day. Sometimes in my new job, I spend a lot more time at the desk and computer than I used to. And so I'll have to force myself to leave the office and go literally take a walk around the building, physically touch something alive, grab a hold of some grass, take some extra deep breaths. Look at the sun. Look at the mountains. I've started a practice of this. As soon as I turn south on the final home stretch of getting to my office, I'm in the Denver Tech Center area, which is on the south side of the Denver metro area. And we've got a pretty clear shot of Pikes Peak down in Colorado Springs when it's a clear day. So I'd look for Pikes Peak if I can. That's a grace builder into my life. So if I can just have one 30-second glimpse of Pikes Peak before entering the concrete jungle, I feel like I've encouraged my soul. I've kept my stream and given my stream a chance to thrive before I hit the pressures of my day. Questions and comments. I've had you all on mute, so I have no idea if you've been trying to talk to me or not. My apologies if you have. But let me take this off of mute here. And I'll bring up the video camera so you all can see my pretty face. I still can't, unfortunately, see yours, but that's okay. Questions, comments, thoughts. What is it about soul keeping that you found helpful today? What is it about soul keeping that's still a struggle and still something that you're working on?
Hi, Nate. It's Win. Can you hear me?
I can. Thank you. Go right ahead.
I appreciated your presentation. A great reminder for those of us who are very aware of the stream, and usually we're more aware of how polluted it is than how clean it is.
Mm.
And sometimes we are still in that hurried mode so much that we have a sense in the evaluation process, but our action plan lags behind.
Mm-hmm.
So as you were kind of winding down, I thought, yeah, you've given us 2 steps, but what is the very first step in your view? What do we do first?
You know, I'd say just as best as you can, take a water sample from your stream. Whatever that might look like. If you're a journaler, journal with, the question, what is the condition of my stream at the top of the page? If you're a audible processor and you have a good processing buddy of yours, ask them, can we do kind of a deep dive into my stream? I've taken this water sample and I'm seeing, boy, there's some times recently where I think my stream has been flowing pretty on track. We know here in Colorado when the runoff that will begin here in just a short month or two gets going, boy, those streams are flowing. And then we know in the middle of August that sometimes those streams are down to a trickle. So we're just kind of taking a water sample, what's the speed of the water, what's the flow of the water, what's the depth of the water, what's the inner contents of the water, and just, we're just non-judgmental even about ourselves. We're not here to throw ourselves under the bus by any means, but just to say, okay, self, soul, stream, this is what I'm seeing. And then run that by somebody that you can, that you trust. Hey, how do you see my stream lately? I'm curious to get your intake on that, your input on that. And then, then from there, if the theme is, boy, just been in such a hurry lately. Just pick one. Just pick one theme. Don't try to, don't try to dig out, 10 giant branches at once, but just, pick one at a time that's in the stream and run with it. Maybe the theme in your own processing and the processing with someone else is hurry. Maybe it's the pure. A lot of pure things are flowing, and yet you just want to be sure that you're fine-tuning the flow. And that could be just just doing a self-checkup regularly. Setting something on your calendar. Okay, every 1st and 15th of the month, I'm doing a stream checkup. I'm devoting 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, whatever it might be, to kind of do a stream checkup. So those are just kind of where I would begin. It's kind of that self-evaluation and take a look at what you're seeing in your stream, and from there you can begin to kind of fine-tune your approach.
Sounds good. Once again, I appreciate the thrust of this webinar. Thank you, Nate.
Yeah. My pleasure. Again, this is we did a whole series on soul keeping with some really dear friends at our local church, and we're all just a bunch of doers and givers and bleeding hearts out there to care for the world and its struggles. So we all realized, oh yeah, we don't take care of that stream, there isn't going to be any flowing, any health to the village. So it's a practice in progress. Any other thoughts, comments? We've hit our 1 o'clock hour, and that was the goal to give ourselves that time. But if there's any other questions or thoughts or comments, I'll take it and try to respond. And then, as I shared, we'll get the recording of this out to everyone. And next month, the end of April, I'll be doing another webinar. And I want to combine that one into a couple of different strains of thoughts on companioning the bereaved, but even more broadly than companioning those who are grieving, how do we companion any hurting person? And it could be, again, in our own family, it could be in professional life, it could be in our neighborhood, but I'm going to be looking at just the vision of how do we companion well those who are hurting. So I'll get everybody information on that. But are there any last comments or questions before we call it a wrap today? Well, again, I sure appreciate those of you that joined in live. Those of you that will be watching the recording of this, thank you as well for joining. If you'd like to send an email my way to let me know what you thought, if there's something we could do to improve this process, I'm all for it. Again, my heart is to bring inspiration, encouragement, and guidance to all of you all. In Texas, they'd say all y'all. All of you who are out there giving of your hearts, giving of your minds, giving of your passions and your blood, sweat, and tears to bring faith to the faithless, hope to the hopeless, and love to the brokenhearted. You all are agents of hope. And I want to see all of you encouraged and brought together as an army of hope to continue to spread this hope to this world and to continue to let your streams flow into your villages to bring that life-giving, life-sustaining, life-nurturing faith, hope, and love that you can bring. So thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful, special day here in March, and I look forward to connecting with you all down the road soon. Some of you will get to see soon. Some of you all will see online in a month. Have a great day, everybody.
Bye, Nate.
Bye-bye. Have a great day, everybody.